Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate Final Fantasy podcast. I am your host, Caleb Schweiss.
And I am Joseph DeGolier.
I almost brought in one of the reviews we're going to be reading today to it, but you know what? I said no. No, we'll save that shit for later. Anyway, this is our first podcast post-KupoCon, and Joe, all I see on Twitter is post-con depression from the people at the con. How do you feel about that? Do you have any of that?
I think our show is in a post-con depression. I came home and the world was trying to tear itself apart. Fucking just got like crazy like stomach flu today. I'm exhausted. I had technical difficulties doing the sound mix on our movie.
Your town
I call it a
was
post-con depression, and the last thing I want to do right now is record this, but we got to do it, man. It's our show.
I mean, you had that, and then the world was literally trying to come down around you, including your giant television.
My television, I thought, might have been lost the other day, but have no fear. I was here, and so the world, this is what I was doing. I was sitting on the couch, minding my own business. It was just kind of like the time before work. Like I had a couple hours before work. I was getting up a little earlier because of KupoCon, and I had like 3 hours to spare. Okay. I was just sitting there listening to a book on George Washington, and I started to feel weird. I'm like, hey, I don't feel right now. Like, for a second, I was like, is this a migraine? Am I depressed? Like, is my mind outside of my body right now? And then I look up. And I realize, no, the world is shaking. I'm like, oh, shit. I've been ready for this day because I've had discussions about where we put this television up in my apartment. Like, many discussions about, there's earthquakes here, right? You can't have a TV up that high without, securing it. So, 15 feet across from me, I saw my television just waving front to back, just a little, wobbling a little bit. It probably wouldn't have gone down, actually, in that earthquake. So, I jumped up. I grabbed the TV. I grabbed the cords in the back. I start undoing all the cords. I pick up the TV while the earth is shaking around me, and I gently put the television on the ground, and then it stopped. It stopped right as I was putting the television onto the floor. And then the cleaning lady came in 30 minutes later. She hadn't felt it at all. So this was like a 20-second one. This was on July 4th. She hadn't felt it at all. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. And I had just put the TV on the ground, and I was afraid of aftershocks. So the first thing I did was go on Twitter, complain that I had heard the earthquake, and then saw a bunch of other people complain about the earthquake. Did I say hear the earthquake? Felt the earthquake, I meant. And I saw a bunch of stuff going, oh, there might be aftershocks, yada, yada, yada. It could be a pre-shock. We'll know within 4 days, the chances of that, whatever, yada, yada. And I'm like, all right. So I just take my television, I drag it into my room, I don't share it with 19 people. I drag it into our room and next to my bed, and my big, huge TV is just sitting next to my bed while I'm at work. And I let it stay there for another day. The next day, I wake up, and apparently there was an earthquake in the morning, and I did not feel that one. I had slept through it. And then I go to work. Didn't put my television up this entire time, by the way. So I really did save my television, because when I was at work is when the huge one hit. That we felt for a minute and a half. It was a long time, dude. This thing went for forever. And luckily where I'm at, I'm not near the epicenter of the thing, so it's not like things were flying off the shelf, but it was legit movement. I had never been in an earthquake before, the day before that, and then this time I was So I'm working at the shit fucking place that I work at, the deli that I work at, and I'm like trying to get this guy some turkey, and I'm like, "What kind of turkey do you want?" And he's like, "Cracked peppermint turkey." I grab the cracked peppermint turkey, and then I start to feel it, and I just assumed it was going to be like an aftershock and it would last like a couple seconds. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I was like, "Do you feel that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do." And then we just stood there looking at each other for the entirety of the earthquake.
Wasn't it like a 6.8 or something like that?
Not where I was at.
Oh,
it was,
okay.
It was in like the 5 range where I was at. But
that's...
in the epicenter where it was, yeah, it was big. And it was long. It was a lot longer than the one I had done like the day before.
Yeah.
So I was just really glad I had put my TV down on the ground. But apparently, when I came back home at night, my roommates, sick of not having the television in the room, put the TV back up after the big earthquake. Apparently, they weren't concerned about any aftershocks or anything like that. So
they're like, "No, that was the big
right?
one. That was
that was the big one."
Fine. Yeah.
The idea was, well, apparently one of my roommates told the other roommate, he was like, "I'm not going to help you put that TV up because I don't want to be the one responsible if that thing falls during another earthquake." He goes, "If there's another earthquake, I'll run and save it." That's what my roommate said. I don't believe him for a second. I don't believe him for a second.
Can you imagine? He just like bolts out of bed and just like sprinting into the front room.
I gotta save the television.
TV's
it's
like
my duty.
midair.
So yeah, luckily no one died. No one died in this earthquake, despite how like big it was. But the earthquake happened kind of out in the middle of the desert, and there was like a lot of shaking near that. The first town I drove into in California was this fucking town.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's,
are
like,
part of the
Ridgecrest,
parts of the
name
road like fucked up down there now?
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
I saw
I've seen
pictures. It's just shifted like 8 feet. I'm like, oh, that's
crazy.
a fun little swerveroo in the middle of your fucking trip. Oh my god, the road's back.
When I moved to California, and I'm sorry, Californians, I know like most of our audience is from California. When I moved to California, I drove through Death Valley because I had never seen it before. And I was like, I'm going to do 2 things at once. I'm going to move to California, I'm taking a different route, and I'm going through Death Valley. And I went through Death Valley. And Nevada's, there's no one out there, but the towns they're small and quaint and they're nice. Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing there. Like occasionally you drive by some people that are like shooting out in the middle of nowhere, and it's just like, yeah, people in Nevada, they love to shoot, and then they go back home to their little houses out in the middle of nowhere. And it's fine. And the gas station's beautiful, clean, pristine. The first town I go into in California, it was like the apocalypse had happened in between me driving from Nevada's last town into California's first town, and that town was Ridgecrest. And I can say this because nobody died, but I said, seeing all the flames, seeing all the destruction of Ridgecrest, I said to my coworkers that any damage in Ridgecrest is probably an improvement.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you, man. The first town I go into in California, there's graffiti everywhere. There's homeless people roaming the streets. There's broken glass windows, multiple houses. It was so decrepit and terrible. And then, like, the gas station, like, half the items on the shelves are locked up. Like, the cashiers are in cages. Once again, graffiti everywhere.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck is happening in California? Oh my god. By the way, you get a similar thing if you just drive from Utah through Nevada through that little tip of Arizona. Just go into a gas station in each of those states. Utah is the last place in those 3. Utah, Nevada, Arizona. Arizona's the best. And then you cross into California, the first gas station you go into is just hell on earth.
Yeah, it's like it's like what happened if you slept in your car and then that was the first town you came to. It's like, am I at the beginning of fucking 28 days later? I'm like waking up and like fucking roll in here and I'm like, everyone's dead. Am I the last person alive? Yeah. There's like 6 zombies here. I assume that's half the population.
God, dude. And, like, there's places in, like, the South that I've been where it's as dirty as California can get, but it's more spread out down there, so it feels less heinous, I guess. It's like, California is real. There's some great stuff here. San Diego, like, the center of town in San Diego to the beach, beautiful. Some parts of L.A. are just magnificent. And then there's just some parts where I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? What is going on in California? Like, what the fuck is happening? And then I hear these things like, oh, all the other states will give their homeless people, like, plane tickets to go to California and just, like, I guess make it worse. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah,
and I'm
something.
hearing that, I'm like, well, that is fucked up. But it can't be to blame for all of this. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. There's so much good stuff here, though, that it attracts a lot of people. And then at the same time, it's like, God damn,
you know,
it's such a dirty state.
Yeah, L.A. is our second biggest area for Ultima Final Fantasy.
Yeah, come on, guys. Give me a place to stay.
Oh, my God. Don't say that, because the last time you begged on the show, you got what you asked for. When I won the 15 copy, and you're like, well, if anyone wants to send me one, and then he fucking sends you one, too. I'm like,
that wasn't a beg. He was just being very awesome and nice.
Yeah,
And I treasure that copy. I got rid of most of my PS4 games. I didn't get rid of that one. That one's still there.
Yeah.
And shall be there till the end of time, I think. Because I'm starting to become more permanent guy again. Remember, I got rid of half my stuff. Now I'm starting to buy books again because I got like a bookshelf and shit. So,
no, nice.
Books and movies are coming back big time for Joe.
That's good news. That's good news right there.
Yeah, good news. Great news, actually. Speaking of news, oh no, actually, where are you in Final Fantasy? The 4 Heroes of Light.
All right, look. It's not that I don't want to play it.
Twice, you better get that fucking game done.
I didn't play
I
it.
have been done for 3 weeks.
I didn't play it, but I will play it exclusively next. I got kind of disheartened after last time on the trip when I just couldn't figure out where the fuck I needed to go, and I haven't looked up the guide yet, but I'm going to start using the guide when I get stuck, when I get lost, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to use it exclusively to play the game, but I will use it when I get stuck for more than like 20 minutes and just not able to figure out where I'm going. I will have this game done. We'll have a review for this game in the month of July because Joe is going on hiatus in August, right? So
yeah, well, we had an episode plan. Right now we're on Distant Worlds 4. Soon we'll be doing Lightning... Oh, shit, what is it? Final Fantasy 13 2 Fragments After, which I'm halfway through. And you should be too.
of course.
And then there's going to be a crossover episode with Lipstick Panel. And then there should be a Final Fantasy IV Heroes of Light review. So you got 4 weeks to beat this very long game. Twice.
I got time. I've just been busy. Busy drinking too much and getting...
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Getting absolutely crushed in Cuphead. But I think
what the hell
problem
is Cuphead?
Cuphead is the next Nude Clan game I have,
Okay.
and it's a fuck, dude. It's like it's worse than Dark Souls to me. I feel like it's harder, but I also suck at platformers, so maybe that's why. It's honestly it's because I don't have a deadline. That's probably the biggest reason why I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get to that one, and then I'm like, oh shit, I have this other thing I have to do, and I'm like, okay, well I'll get to 4 Heroes, and then it's like, oh shit, I have this other thing I have to do. And then it's like, oh shit, I have alcohol poisoning. I can't play this game right now. I can barely live.
Because that was the choice. It was Barcade, and then afterwards you were like, oh, I'm gonna do a lot of 4 Heroes of Light after the Barcade tonight.
Yeah. And then I just died a little, and then I was like, I can't play this when I'm on death's doorstep. I can't be expected to play this.
Well, I'm glad you survived.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have, but
Yeah.
I think I've only been. I think that might be the drunkest I've ever been in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
And it was at a bar, so you were paying a lot of money for it too.
Yeah, I don't think I gave him. I think I might have given him a $5 tip because I was like, I don't remember, and I know it wasn't much because I had a shitload. But I think I only gave him like $5 because I was thinking like, okay, who's getting this tip? Like all of these people have served me, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go. And I think I just threw down
the five, baby.
Yeah. Got a crisp $5 bill here. You guys can split.
Ooh.
You can split
Would have
4
been worth
ways.
a lot in the 1920s.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. But and then like. It's pretty blackout from then on. Like, there's moments, large chunks of time that are gone. So,
wow,
it was a lot, man. Oh God.
And you were dancing on the table. You were doing a striptease. Cameron was filming it.
I wish. I wish. It's more of just like almost braining myself every time I walk somewhere.
Hey, don't we have a couple Nude Clan listeners who live in Salt Lake now?
Yeah, we do. We have a couple that listen to both shows, yeah.
Oh, okay. Should have invited them.
One of the guys from the Here's Johnny podcast lives up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we have a couple other people on, like, Patreon and stuff like that on Twitter that have followed us that live up in Salt Lake. There's plenty of people that live in Utah that listen to the show. It's just... Not all of them are vocal, but we do have a few.
They don't want to hang.
No, they don't.
Of course, you probably don't want to let them know where your house is, just in case.
Yeah.
I think if they listen to Ultima enough and like taking notes, and like, also they have to take notes on everybody's Twitter feeds and take notes on the show. They could probably find it.
Yeah, they can geolocate my house. Like,
yeah, it might not be
precisely.
your house. It might be like your area, but they could probably get pretty close.
Yeah, I could easily be kidnapped.
Easily.
Very easily.
That would make our show so much more popular.
I know, yeah. Can you imagine that?
Yeah,
please,
dude, get kidnapped.
Please kidnap me and make me your...
So that they can go like, famous podcast host stolen. They'll be like, huh? Famous podcast? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Catch up on this guy's podcast. That's what they're doing all subconsciously.
Exactly. Like, oh man, I didn't even know he lived here. I better listen to this shit. Oh my God, he has like 5 shows?
Whoa. A Game of Thrones one. This must have been huge.
Erotic fan fiction. Whoa. Yeah. Maybe let's kidnap me, throw me in like a Pulp Fiction-esque sex dungeon and be done with it.
Yeah, you're going to be the new Gimp?
Yeah, just for a little while. Till someone I fucked over comes and saves me out of pity.
Just tell them to feed you low carb so that you can lose some weight while you're down there.
Yeah. It's like, I'll put the ball gag in, but I want to leave here a much lighter man, if that's okay with you. Make it worth my time.
Oh, my God. All right, Schweiss, what news we got today?
All right, so let me tell you. First up in news,
It's all right.
And foremost, E3 2019, Square Enix announced that they want their entire library to be digital, but they can't always find the code. So, in some cases, they don't know where the code to their games are. And I think this is what led to the old FF8, like, oh, we didn't have the code to FF8 kind of a thing. That's apparently not true. But
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was. It sounded a little fishy.
Yeah, it sounded like bullshit. But
not for a big flagship game like that. I can understand them losing the code to like one of their mobile titles.
Yeah, I know. No kidding.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, they also mentioned that they're exploring the idea of Square Enix doing some kind of gaming subscription now that they kind of get what Xbox's Game Pass does. And it would be for their classic titles. And this would be... I think this would be an amazing idea, because this is kind of a way to make it available digitally, but also make it something that they can pull in some cash consistently each month.
Oh, no, yeah, they're thinking that.
Yeah. And they've said that, like, Matsuda, their CEO, he says he knows everyone's kind of... excuse me. Fucking dying over here. He says that everyone's kind of going in that direction, so they want to be proactive into like looking into what it would take to do that and make it available to download their entire catalog through a subscription kind of a thing.
Fuck, dude, I want this.
Yeah. There is a hilarious line here though. He says sometimes customers ask, "Why haven't you released that game yet?" And the truth of the matter is, it's because we don't know where it's gone. So hopefully they find some of their fucking old games and
Looks like
release
we gotta
it.
hire like a digital detective.
Yeah.
Square Enix digital detective.
A cyber sleuth, perhaps. Those games are coming to the Switch, by the way, in a 2-game combo pack. Jesus.
Oh yeah, because Hacker's Memory needs to make some money back.
Yeah. Apparently the first one's better, but yeah, I don't believe that. No, but I think this would be awesome if Square Enix did that. I mean, they have tons and tons of classic games between both Square and Enix that aren't available in the States. You know, there's a lot of these titles that are just out there and not in the West. And I think if they made this available through a subscription thing, I'd probably do it for a little while. I'd do it and get my fill and then call it good. But I'd probably pay for a few months. Like, I know I might sound like a fucking cash, but some of these games are pricey and they're not translated. So if they were to do the translation and make it available out here, hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'd be going for that. What was that? What was that Infinite thing? I don't remember. It had like some crazy name. Yeah, there's some like Xbox 360 generation type stuff I'd like to play. There's stuff on the Super NES, the PS1 era. We pretty much cleared with this podcast, but there might be a couple titles I don't know about. Yeah, dude, that sounds awesome for Square and Enix and the other companies that they own.
Yeah,
all the Tomb Raider games.
Yeah,
fuck.
I think it'd be a real fucking awesome move. I mean, they're big enough. They're a big enough company that they have their own block at E3, so they have the library. If they made all of it available, that'd be great. I think they could make some serious cash off of that. So hopefully we learn more about that as they get more and more comfortable with the idea, and we kind of see how it looks if it does come to fruition. But I'm kind of stoked about that.
Oh man, dude. I also want to know how the Xbox thing is going. Craig liked it, right?
Craig fucking loves it. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Cameron on Nude Clan is being a little bitch about it, but I can't tell you that I think it sounds awesome. Frankly,
Yeah.
like a streaming service for games. I mean, the technology is just getting to the point where they can actually do that. So
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
you
it's
can
like,
download them fully.
oh
And
God, dude.
and it's like the thing with the Xbox Game Pass is it's like $15 a month, and you get all
if
of
you
their
had
fucking games.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God.
I know.
It's
and,
amazing.
And like Gears 5 and like all these games that are coming out, they're like available day one on Xbox Game Pass. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like why is
They probably won't do that consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like even the stuff that was console exclusive before, I can play on my PC if I get the big dick version of that. Like the full pass.
I mean, the problem is we were always hesitant about DLC type stuff, and that would also mean that the games would have to be cheaper to make before they release them because the games aren't going to make as much money when they get put out. So I do wonder, like, as far as the quality of the games are concerned or the way that releases would be done in the future. I'm sure that if this Xbox thing is like a game changer, pun not intended, that we'd be seeing like the entire industry kind of shift, perhaps in a way that we don't want, but then it'll stabilize, just like the movie industry kind of has. Just kind of stabilize. Streaming's the thing now. It's all right.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know. A lot of people are like, I don't want to do that. I don't think that's a good idea. But it's like, honestly, it's just like any other industry where it gets to the point where it gets so bloated and so overpriced and so overvalued that it falls out, and these kind of things end up happening. You know, it happened with the music. It's happening with the movie industry. I think it's going to happen with the game industry, where subscription-based things are probably going to be the way that it goes after a while, because it's just so expensive to do this shit, and it's going to get pricier and pricier for us as the consumers. And I think that's going to be the answer, because it's been the answer before.
I don't know. I think it's pretty exciting. It's funny how the art never goes away. It's not like it's going to destroy video games. It's not like there won't be any good video games in the future, or TV, or movies, or anything like that. It's just that the way that you're consuming them and the way like the back end of the business does things, it's just changing. That's all.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I think that's super exciting. As a consumer, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
The idea that Square Enix or like any of the other like really big game developers would have their own streaming service, that'd be amazing.
I know.
With Xbox, does that include third-party stuff, or is just Xbox originals?
They have third-party stuff on there. Yeah, it's not everything, but they do have third-party stuff.
All right, I would be like freaking out if it was everything third-party, because I'd be like, "Oh, you're taking away any competition." The only people that are going to make money are Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo. But actually, if it's just their originals, then that totally makes sense. And it'd be cool if like each like major company, and maybe there'd be like an indie streaming service or something like that.
Yeah.
If they each had their own app, kind of like, you got your Netflix, you got your Hulu, you got your Criterion channel, you got your, what is the horror one? There's a horror one out there that's really big. You have all those things, and just as a consumer, you know which ones you want, and you grab those ones. Then you pay your subscription, and you forget about it, and then you just like give these people money for forever.
Yeah, and there's
good business, and also it's really opens so many doors for you.
Right, and it opens doors for a lot of developers too. I mean, Conan Exiles was one of the PlayStation Plus free games like 2 or 3 months ago, and not only is it all I think about, but it's also fucking like it's become a huge thing because they made the game free on the PlayStation. People are buying a bunch of the DLCs. People are buying like all sorts of like costumes and aesthetics, and it was a huge game when it came out on PlayStation 4 for the free month because like I saw like hundreds of people streaming it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this game's okay, but like, why are so many fucking people streaming it? So like, even having a third-party game on there can really open it up to a lot more people. And there are people out there like our good friend Caleb Craig who will buy DLC while they're waiting for the game to download. Like, it's just fucking what they do. They just have tons of money that they're willing to just chuck. Yeah, we get fucking Rocket League, and he like shows up to our first match that I played with him with like 3 DLC cars, and I'm like, God damn it, dude! Like, did you even let the dust settle before you started fucking buying shit? It's like, yeah, that's how it is, though. I think it's a good move, and I don't think it'll affect the art necessarily. And it's like not like that's already an issue anyway when it comes to these studios choosing what games go and what games stay. And it's like you're gonna have creative and financial problems regardless of where we're moving in the future. So I'm excited for it, and hopefully we get to see some of this kind of stuff happen. I mean, I'd love to play some of those old Square games that are just not here or not feasible to get, you know. And that's win-win for them because we're fucking lazy as consumers, and we won't go out and like pirate it if we can just buy it and play it in our plug-and-play console. We'll buy it every time. Like, I've used this example a million times. Tobacco is not a hard plant to grow. It was like one of the most plentiful plants in the U.S. before, you know, became the U.S. back when like it was nothing but fucking tobacco fields for half of the country. It's easy to grow, but we're not going to do it. We're going to go down to the store and spend $7 in Utah to buy a pack of cigarettes because we're fucking lazy. And that's how this place works. So we'll do it. It's
a very
man.
interesting metaphor.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Growing your own tobacco.
ease will win out over cost almost every time these days.
Yeah, there is. I'm sure there's a term for like the point at which cost and ease are in the right spot, because like cost can't be $1 million.
Right.
It has to be, you know, whatever it is.
It's like Redbox is struggling because people stream it, and I'm like, well, when you stream it, it's like $4. When you Redbox it, it's $1.70. Why the fuck is this a problem? And it's because when you stream it, you could just fucking turn off your game or your porn or whatever you were doing, and then just instantly go over to Amazon and throw $4 at the fuckers and watch the movie, and then go to bed on the futon couch that you live on. Like, it's just easy. It's so easy that you just go for it. So it makes sense. It makes sense to dive in.
I have a mattress. I resent that.
Yeah. So next up in news, Final Fantasy XIV is giving away a free Black Fat Chocobo mount DLC through Amazon. It was, through. You know what? The weirdest thing, I got this fucking free DLC when I purchased. It was that new Hideo Kojima game, Death Stranding. I pre-ordered it, and then I got an email from Amazon saying, "Here's the fat black chocobo, or black fat chocobo mount for Final Fantasy XIV." And I was like, "That's very odd." I mean, I'm gonna play that game, so I'll use the code. But I'm like, "What the fuck?" Apparently, it's just a little campaign they've been running to try to nab some more people.
Death Stranding FF14 crossover.
Yeah, apparently.
When is that Death Stranding coming out?
I think it's November, sometime in November.
Okay.
I got the Steelbook, but I didn't go for the $200 one with the little baby. Because I was like, yeah, the baby's cool, but like I really don't need the baby in the tube. It's just a little weird. Plus,
yeah, we don't even know if it's going to be any good.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not a sequel to a game by itself.
Right, and it's also like Kojima Unleashed, so who knows how Kojima-fied it's going to really be.
Kojima Unleashed. That sounds like an awesome game.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude.
So we had a weird ad for Final Fantasy XIV recently that had Tom Holland and Hannibal Buress. And I don't know if you saw this, but it's like they're kind of training to become the Warriors of Darkness and Shadowbringers. So it was kind of a cool little trailer. We had Spider-Man doing some push-ups, telling Coach Wilson, I guess, who Buress plays in the commercial, that he's training to be the Warrior of Darkness. And I saw that on TV, actually. I saw that on, I think it was Hulu a little while ago. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Or getting some stars to dive in and kind of bring some more eyes to 14. I don't know how much stuff like that actually does to the bottom line of the player base of 14, but it must do something because they've done a million things like this in the past. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess just another celebrity spotlight. I think the worst one is Ariana Grande and Katy Perry.
Yeah, those are pretty shameless. So Square Enix has actually partnered with the Gary Sinise Foundation, who supports real-life heroes, including defenders, veterans, first responders, and their families, and those in need, with the Warriors in the Darkness campaign. And I guess they...
Warriors in the Darkness?
Yeah. Yeah, so Square Enix and Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers have partnered with the Foundation to support these warriors in the darkness. And apparently the donation went directly towards programs that show appreciation for America's heroes through family support and acts of gratitude, and Square Enix was matching the donations dollar for dollar up to $50,000. And let me check that campaign, see if it's still going. It just brought me to 14. Okay, now you can still donate. So it is still going on. Who knows if Square has matched it fully yet, but if you want to, you can. You can search that or go to the campaign's official website, warriorsinthedarkness.com. Get bedazzled by a Shadowbringers trailer eating up the whole screen, and then you can scroll down and donate. So
Bryce, you want to throw some UFF funds his way?
Yeah, we could probably do that.
All right. What else we got?
So the FF7 Remake First Class Edition, as we know, it comes with the PlayArts Kai Cloud Strife and the Hardy Daytona, and they actually have a fucking trailer that shows us the Hardy Daytona and the Cloud Strife thing. If you want to look at that, it's basically just collectible porn. It's a camera doing a 360 around this thing with the FF7 battle theme.
Then it goes, "This is what you bought, Caleb."
Yeah. Does this look like $300 worth? And the answer
Will
is...
it ever?
No. God,
Will it ever
no.
look like $300 worth? That's some car payments.
Yeah, I don't have a car payment anymore, though.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, so now I... Oh, wait, sorry. I can't say that. I can't talk about financial stuff on the shows anymore.
Why not?
Because we get called... what was it? What do they call us? It was on...
I think they called it like spoiled rich pricks or something like that. I think they called us that on Nude Clan. But like...
Yeah.
The wealthiest one out of all of us makes 60 now?
Yeah, 60-something.
That's not like crazy, guys.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I'm making just above minimum wage where I'm at. So y'all can fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know for a lot of people, like, money is like the super sensitive subject, but I'm a person who loves to talk about it, even though I don't have any.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's so sensitive.
I've never understood like why people are that way, or like I don't know. I don't think it really reflects on you as a person, like how much money that you make at your job. So, I mean, sometimes it can reflect on like, wow, you got yourself in a bunch of debt, huh? Like myself. And then you can be like, oh, wow, that was dumb.
Right, yeah.
But this is how we can deal with that situation. It's fun. I don't know. It's fun to me. But it's cool that your car's paid off.
Yeah, sort of. It's just into my home now.
Yeah, it's just moved around.
Yeah. So there are now 61 Final Fantasy soundtracks on Spotify. They have made 61 individual soundtracks available to listen. And basic Spotify, you can access it. Spotify Premium, obviously. No ads. It's all there. Lots of great stuff. If you have that, it's a pretty sweet service if you have a lot of downtime or a lot of walking or whatever you do during your job. There you go. You can listen to a shitload of Final Fantasy music, including what we're going to listen to today. We're going to discuss today. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remaster. I know your ears perked up at that one, Joe. Is launching this winter.
I thought you were about to have like a really good, smooth transition into our discussion point this week, and then you fucking went into Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah,
so
well, I mean,
fuck you.
I order the news by importance. So take that as you will. This is one of the most important things we could talk about this week. It's coming this winter, apparently. Kind of disappointing. I was like, when is this thing supposed to come out? Like, I prided myself in being like, oh, I buy it day one like an asshole every single time. Every time they come out with a remaster, I've got my fucking wallet, and I'm just throwing it at them. They've got a new trailer for it, if you want to watch that.
Charge it to my house.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. But it is coming to the Switch, iOS, and Android. So that is the new announcement. The mobile version is going to be... The mobile phones are going to have a release for this game, so you can play it on the go. Or you can play it on the Switch Go as well. Whatever kind of Go you fucking want.
And you can take it, and then you can go fuck yourself with it, because that game's terrible.
Yeah. So, speaking of FF8's remaster, like I mentioned earlier, it's not really a lost code thing, according to Kitase. He says at first the plan was to release it on current generation hardware with more or less the same graphics. However, the title recently celebrated its 20th anniversary, and since TVs evolved from SD CRTs to LCD HD TVs, we decided that it was necessary to improve on character quality. And then they just kept messing around with it. They decided that, like, okay...
They changed the dialogue? Is that what they're doing? Just got to improve on the character quality?
Yeah.
Chicken wuss.
Exactly. So they decided that, you know what, we're going to take a little longer with it, and we're going to make it look better. And they wanted to bring the quality up for the images. And he said it was a pain in the ass, but in the end they said it was the right call to take the extra time to make it look better, which it does look much better.
When is that thing coming out?
I think that's supposed to come out, I think it's the end of this year.
Okay. Because that's one of the things I'm getting.
Yeah, let me double check, because I just barely closed out of the article and I was like, oh, I should actually know that. I'll buy it too.
Know things.
It's supposed to be sometime later in 2019.
Okay.
So it's another one of those.
So we don't
eventually
have an official date.
No, I you know, as much shit as we gave them about like giving dates too early before, it's like, can we get a date for some of these little ones? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, it's just a remaster. Just fucking tell us when it's coming out.
It looks good, man.
Oh, it does,
I would love to play. Honestly, man, once this podcast is done with its weekly thing, that does open you up to replay some of the favorites. Mostly, I just want to replay 15 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 10.
Yeah, I mean Chocobo Dungeon too. You got that? That's on PS4 now.
Oh, I also want to try the Zodiac Age version of 12.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
it. I just want to replay the whole series again. Schweiss, you want to do another podcast? Or... I'm kidding.
Are you?
We gotta finish all those other little games, and I'm so excited to get into Kingdom Hearts. You have no idea. We gotta rush through these mana things. Sorry, I know we said we were gonna take our time, but we gotta rush through mana so I can play Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll rush. Yeah, the last few months have shown that we're gonna rush the shit out of this.
That's right. Hey, man, I did rush the shit out of it.
I know. So, Square Enix recently revealed a $2,500 FF7 line of watches. And they are through... You can pre-order them.
Screw a KoopaCon trip.
I know, yeah. Why did we blow money on that when we could have bought this beautiful FF7 watch? They're going to be released in March of 2020. And
does it have any other times besides 7, or is that it?
You know, looking at the image, it mostly just has the number 7 on one of them, and I don't really see where you can use it as an actual watch. Unless that's the other side. Oh, no, it is the bottom of it. Okay. Yeah, it looks pretty cool, but $2,500, I don't know. I sent it to Cameron, our watch expert, and here was his
watch expert.
Yeah, here was his response. He says, not knowing what movement they have, they should only be 300 to 400. Seiko made them, and they do make more expensive watches, but most are in that range. So that was his comment on the Final Fantasy VII watch. But hey, if you've got $2,500, not only are you privileged, but you are well within your right to spend it on this Final Fantasy VII watch.
Schweiss, that's racist.
Is it?
And transphobic.
Oh, shit. Oh, man,
yeah,
I knew
all
it.
those things, all the above.
It's everything.
What you just said right there.
It's everything that has more than 3 syllables and is offensive. Yeah, we'll get into that later. But so last and most importantly, Final Fantasy XIV is going to get a live-action drama series produced by Sony Pictures TV. It's fucking coming back, dude.
Another Dad of Light?
It's another fucking Dad of Light. It's going to take place in Eorzea, though. From Final
it's a
Fantasy.
live action. Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
No! Twice. Live action. Repeat. Live action show.
Live action show.
That takes place in Eorzea.
Yes.
I'm going to be sick to my stomach. Oh my god. Not just because I have stomach flu. Oh my god! What the fuck?
Yeah,
No.
apparently they're gonna be bringing to life all of Eorzea's iconic characters, settings, and concepts, including fan favorites like Sid and the Chocobos for the TV audience.
What the fuck are they gonna do with the little people?
I don't know.
I guess the Lalafell. I think they're called Lalafells, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess they're just gonna hire every little person. Is this gonna be a Japanese show or?
I don't think so, because the people who are working on this, their company name is Hivemind. They worked on apparently something called The Expanse, and they are currently working on the Netflix adaptation of The Witcher. So this is a legit thing, apparently, and it's kind of crazy, but I think Square is really embracing 14 right now, and I think this is just
I didn't know their audience would be big enough for that. Okay, well, know what?
I saw all sorts of
We'll
people
see.
online saying that 14 has become the biggest MMO of all time. That is not true, guys. Not at all. It's a big game.
Nah, you can't be World of Warcraft.
No. Oh, it isn't. It has a lot of registered users, but the active user base, Not saying it's not a great game, and not saying it's not my MMORPG, because it is. Just saying it's not every...
Hashtag not my MMORPG.
Yeah, not my MMORPG. It's just not everybody's MMORPG, all right? So let's just put that out there. I've seen some bullshit on some pages that's bullshit.
Yeah, wow, live action in Eorzea. They couldn't find a different... I bet that company just wanted to make a Final Fantasy show, and, like, that's what Square would give them.
Yeah, you think so?
Was FF14.
It's like a passion project for them, and Square is like, yeah, you can have 14.
You can have 14, and it's really good for our brand, and it's an ongoing thing, so it's not like we're dipping into the past.
Yeah.
To grab material for a TV show.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't played Shadowbringers, but I'm still on the boat that there's probably going to be at least one, if not two more big expansions to 14, just based on how long it takes them to come out with these games. And that's if 16 isn't an MMO, which it may very well be once we get done with FF7 Remake, which is, of course, their current next big game in the series, according to Square themselves. So 14 is going to be around for a little while, and I think they want to get some people who are around for a little while with it. So it's like a weird push.
Man, this just reminds me of... there's a movie I did costumes on for like 2 days, and then there's another movie that I saw. These are all Utah productions. So one is Aerostorm Entertainment has... just like a series of movies called Mythica, and they're like these low-budget fantasy things. They are about TV-level productions that are done kind of in the vein of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer quality in terms of like visual effects and costuming and makeup and stuff like that. Because when they're doing TV, they got to do it fast, they got to do it repetitive, they got to repeat a lot of stuff in the visuals, and it's just... I don't know. That's tough. I'm not saying it can't be done, and if they want to hire me to be a director, that'd be great. But
yeah.
I don't know anybody more qualified, actually. But I can't. I don't know. I can't. That's tough. That's tough. That's going to be hard to pull that one off.
Yeah. I mean,
it's going to be real hard to pull that one off.
There's a lot of this kind of stuff coming out. I mean, with The Witcher and then with this, like, I'm curious to see what kind of comes of it, because it's one thing if you watch the Castlevania animated stuff and it's really good. It's another thing to make a live action video game thing, because we know it's just been proven time and time again that doesn't really work out very well. And when it does, it's like a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean, just video games turning into movies is tough.
Yeah.
And then TV is also cheaper, so it's tougher. Especially for something so visual, like a kind of thing. So the other movie I was thinking of was Unicorn City, which is the movie where they have like this special camp that they all do like LARPing with, and it's just a movie about LARPing, and that was the image that I had in my head as soon as like my brain synapses figured out that you were saying that this was a live action in Eorzea television show. And I can't. I hope to God does not like that. I hope to God. I'm afraid. Twice.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I can't imagine the budget's not going to be pretty big. I don't know, though. It's a little different for Netflix, who's doing the Witcher one. And we know Netflix is probably going to spend way too much fucking money on it, no matter what. But, I mean, we've got shows like the Lord of the Rings prequel thing that's like, oh, yeah, it has $1 billion budget. It's like, what the fuck? What do you mean $1 billion? Like, yeah, it's $1 billion budget from Amazon. That's how much we're willing to pay. You know, since we own the world, we can toss a measly $1 billion at Middle Earth. So I mean, who knows? Who knows how much goes into it. Because, I mean, we can talk HBO, and that's not really TV-level quality in multiple shows. Like the last few seasons of Game of Thrones, namely, as much of a disappointment as the last season was, it looked really, really good. So, like, and it's because they had the budget to do it. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But live action, I don't know, man. I mean, we're gonna watch it, but God, I don't know if it's gonna turn out. I'm kind of afraid.
I'm afraid too, but I want to see it. Feel free to send me a script. Okay?
Yeah.
Come on, I'll send you 13th Cross. Oh God! All right. Any other news?
No, man. That is it for the massive amount of news this week. These last few weeks that we've been catching up on for today. So, hope you guys are stoked for some of that stuff. And yeah.
I just slipped out of a chair trying to get over here. All right. Distant Worlds 4. Did you know there was a fourth one?
Yes. Only because you told me.
That's right. It is newer, so it's not one of the more popular ones. But let's go through it. I'm going to pull up its Wikipedia page, see if there's anything cool on it. Let's see. All right. I think we just do the rankings at the same time we go through the tracks, right? So, what is your bottom ranking for Distant Worlds 4?
Last place for me is Zephyr Memories.
Zephyr Memories, okay. That is not the last place for me. Not at all. Okay. Mine was Dalmasca Easter Sand. What's your second?
Genova Complete.
Okay, that's not mine. Battle with the Four Fiends is my next one.
Dalmasca Ester Sand, my next.
Okay, Dalmasca Ester Sand is now on the board. What did you think of Dalmasca Ester Sand? Also, is it Easter Sand?
It is Easter Sand. No, I don't actually know. So, I know you don't like FF12's soundtrack, but I kind of dug this one. It's upbeat, memorable, and ready to rock. But the only problem with this track is it doesn't really add a whole lot because the original soundtrack is orchestrated anyway. So, I don't know. This is one of those moments in Distant Worlds where it's like, I don't dislike the song. I just don't really think it needs to be Distant Worlds because it's already fully orchestrated in the game.
It is. It is quite heavily orchestrated as it is. I actually wrote that it sounds exactly the way it does in the game. This was the one I ranked this one last, which is okay, I guess, is what I wrote down. It's true. Yeah, it sounds exactly the way that it is in the game. That's fine. I always thought this track seemed really unmemorable and mostly unhummable. Now, I do remember the track because I've heard it a bazillion times. That being said, I can let it go. It never got stuck in my head, despite the fact I've heard it a million times. And when I listen back on it, there's not that much of a difference between Dalmasca Easter Sand and most of the other soundtracks in FF12. It's a track that kind of goes everywhere. Like, it has a lot of variations within its stuff, and its hook that's going throughout it is kind of weak. So I'm meh on this song overall, and also the fact that they didn't make it better with Distant Worlds. It sounds, you could have told me it came from the FF12 soundtrack, and I would have believed you.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not a bad piece of music. It's just so unmemorable, and yeah, I don't dislike it. I don't actively dislike it. It's just, to me, as far as this album is concerned, it's the low point.
All right, that's fair.
It's nothing. It's nothing to me. It means nothing. Schweiss, my next one is Genova Complete. So there we go. Schweiss, what do you think of Genova Complete?
I don't know. I wrote down, like, it's all right, and it's not really the most solid album opener, but it sort of did its job, I guess, getting you in the FF mood. I just don't really... I don't know. It was just kind of whatever. I feel like most of the other Distant Worlds albums start out, like, pretty big, and this one is just... It's just whatever to me.
I think two of them started out really big, and two of them started out kind of small. So I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm always confused by ones that start out really small, because, like, there's at least one track on here that's, like, full on, and, like, it's always cool to open up with a full on. There should be, like, a crazy full on big song. In every album, there should be the first song should be like a crazy hook song. Somewhere in the middle, there should be one to, like, get you re-jazzed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, you got to end with, like, a big one, right? And I feel like Distant Worlds, sometimes they don't do that. But the first album, they definitely did. With the second album, I think they did as well. But with this fourth album, Genova Complete as a starting track, odd. I could hear this song being jazzed up a little bit more, being a little bit more crazy, but they didn't do that version. There's definitely a really good build-up. I like that you can hear in this piece, because I don't remember this piece from the game. It just sounds vaguely FF7. That's what this track sounds like to me. I don't actually remember the actual piece of music. Unlike every other piece of music in this album, I don't actually remember this one. But you can hear little bits of the FF7 battle theme in there, which I thought was cool. Almost sounds like a medley piece, but it's an all right opening track. It's not bad. I like it. I started listening to the album and I was like, oh, this is good, but it didn't hook me.
I don't dislike any of the songs on this album. Like I don't know. It's all, and that's what makes it hard to rank some of these. It's because I don't have the hateful track on the album for this one, but like, it's just kind of missable, and it's like a fucking a Nissan cup noodle, right? So you got your chicken, and it doesn't really taste like chicken. It just tastes like essence of chicken. So they just injected essence of FF7 into the beginning of this album and called it good. So, that's kind of where I'm at with that one. It's whatever.
All right, what's your next one?
Let's see. I have Battle with the Four Fiends is my number 12.
All right, that's our next one on the board. That's track number 2, right?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. You got to tell me what you think first, because I always have to write down the fucking thing.
I thought it was solid. I liked the transitions, and I enjoyed the trumpets in the song. But I don't know. I kind of like the original track more from FF4, right? Or 1 or whatever it is. I think it's 4. I don't know. This one just seemed... It was just okay.
One, I think.
It was all right. I feel sort of disappointed in these albums when I don't like their version more. And this is one of the ones where I was like, it's a little bit spiced up, but I don't know. It didn't really do a ton for me personally. That's why it's kind of on the lower end.
Yeah, Battle with the Four Fiends kind of starts off a little goofy, which is odd. But then it kind of like, I don't know, it kind of like hits its stride, so that's good. But the other one, and I wrote down the same thing twice, the other one is more exciting. The original is more exciting. There's some good boomy moments in this thing. I swear like they were at like a lower tempo or something like that. Like it just didn't feel like it had the balls of the first one at all.
Yeah, and it's not different enough to make up for that either. Like there is another track on this album that doesn't have the balls of the original, but it builds in a different way, so it actually turns out really well. And this one, yeah, it's just kind of not. It just doesn't do that.
Yeah. There is a bit of a James Bondish thing going on here with this orchestration of Battle with the Four Fiends that I thought was kind of funny, and actually I heard it like 4 times on this album. It's like, Nobuo is repeating himself a lot, and they chose the repeating himself songs all in this album. But yeah, there's some James Bond stuff going on there. Mostly that, I can't remember what you call that chord progression, but it's da-na-na-na. It's just like a monochromatic scale. It's kind of moving back and forth between 3 notes. They do that a lot in this one. But yeah, it's all right. But the original is better. So once again, I feel the same disappointment when the original is better. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I here for?
Yeah.
My next one is Final Fantasy.
You know what? I actually have that one at number 11 as well.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And here's the thing. I think this is a pretty good finale to the album. I mean, it sums up the last, not only this album, but the last 3 albums of Distant Worlds quite well. This is obviously the main theme of the series, and the orchestrated version does pack a pretty good punch, but it's just not as impressive as the other ones to me. Because once again, this is, FF12 has the main theme fully orchestrated as well. And for a lot of it, it sounds just like that orchestration, And so it's a good sum up. It's a good summary of everything that we've listened to over the past 4 albums, but it's something we've kind of heard before. So,
yeah, we're getting to our middle of the rankings area here. But Final Fantasy, the main theme, and this one's the it's that one. In case you're confused, it's not the prelude music.
Yeah.
So ye old main theme is what I wrote. Hard to screw up this piece of music because they just, I think since FF8 it's been fully orchestrated whenever they play it.
Yeah.
Because in FF8's closing credits they have it fully orchestrated, which is really cool in that one. But yeah, you couldn't tell me which. If you just told me, is this Distant Worlds or is this from one of the games? I'll be like, I don't know. And it's a good piece of music. It's a great thing for everybody to go over. I wrote it down as a warm blanket song. It's just very nice. And it's good to have in the Distant Worlds concerts. If I'm ranking all the pieces on here, though, it's not going to be at the top. But it's a good piece of music. So I enjoy it, and I'm glad they finally... Did they have it in the other ones? Maybe they had like a piece of it or something.
I think they've had like medleys and stuff in the past.
Yeah, but it was good to hear the full-on thing here. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. All right, what's your next one?
All right, so my next one, and I feel like we might start diverging a little from here on out. My next one is Fang's theme.
Oh, no. We're good. Did you think I was going to put that one really high?
I don't know. I'm looking at my list, and I've adjusted it a couple times since we started talking, because I'm like, what am I doing here? And this is what happens when I do any of these fucking list things, dude. I'll just, keep bumping it down and down and down, and then I scroll up, and I'm like, okay, what? Why is this one number 1? Because I had Battle of the Four Fiends
theme
top 3, and I'm like,
1?
that was not a top 3 track. Everything else looks
good. See, I do
good.
it different. I physically write it down in my notebook. I put a star rating next to it, and then I use that star rating to figure out kind of where they are, and then I battle them out in my list.
Okay.
Yeah. Fang's theme, no, I put it as third from the bottom, Fang's theme. The military march part, it just sounds like FF13 blandness is what I put down, which nothing in FF13 is bland, But there's a lot of, like, with the soundtracks, there's, like, a lot of, like, crazy percussion stuff, and the melodies are kind of hidden under it, and that's just kind of, like, what FF13 does a lot of the time. Not all the time, for sure. There's some great pieces in FF13, but kind of like with FF12, like, the melodies aren't, like, super great, and they're kind of hidden. FF13, I think, is a little more exciting soundtrack than 12 overall, though. But, yeah, when the melody actually does kick in to this song, it does start to sound more interesting and exciting. And this version is probably better than the original, but it's not, like, crazy different as far as I remember. So it's all right. There's better FF13 tracks that I wish they had put on this album, because FF13 is very underrepresented in this in these 4 CDs. So
Yeah.
kind of sad that we didn't get a different FF13 track, but yeah, all right, Fang theme. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was kind of fun, upbeat, and it did lead into the next track pretty well, and the final few tracks on the album as well. It's not my favorite theme from 13, but I don't know. I kind of liked it. It's just not one of those super memorable themes for me. So it's not something I have to have on the album. So that's why it kind of falls somewhere in the middle for me.
Sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, this album doesn't have any, like, stinkers. Like I think album 2 or 3 did. Where they're like, I'd rather listen to the original one for sure. Like, even though some of these aren't as good as the original one, these are still, like, good versions of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Gotta think about that when I do my overall rankings. My next one was main theme of FF5.
Okay, my next one is Dragon Song.
Dragon Song? Okay. And what's on top of that one?
Somnus Instrumental Festival.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you fuck. All right, we are going to have some differing. What was on top of Somnus?
Festival of the Hunt.
Festival? What the fuck? What are you putting at the top here? All right, I'm going to catch up to you on this list. I put main theme of FF5, where you put Fang's theme. Then I put Phantom Forest. Then I put Cosmo Canyon. Then I put Festival of the Hunt, which is where we are both now at.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. I feel like we're going to be on differing sides of the fence here. Festival of the Hunt. This one's an FF9 track, I believe.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Honestly, it strikes similar chords as the Dalmasca Estersand song, but it's just heavier and more memorable. So it's like everything the other one isn't. And this is one of the many tracks I feel like from FF9 that has that FF9 distinct feel, and I can kind of recognize, oh yeah, that one comes from FF9. And I liked the version that they did for Distant Worlds. I think this is actually a pretty solid track on this album. It's not one of my favorites, but it's up there. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, this is kind of middle of the album for me. I really like this track. I gave it 4 stars. It's silly sometimes, but then it gets really exciting. And this is a really good rendition of this song. I love it when the track goes from like its silliness to when it gets all brassy and crazy. And all the little variations in the rhythm section. All that instrumentation, it's very good. I really enjoyed Festival of the Hunt. And it just makes me miss FF9's soundtrack.
I know.
There was actually a piece of music on here that I thought was from FF9. It was so good. And then I found out it wasn't. We'll get into that later, I guess. My next one is Zephyr's Memory, which I put as number 6, and you put as the last place.
Yeah.
So, Schweiss, tell me about your hatred of Zephyr's Memory. Jesus.
I don't know. I feel like this is one of the listenable tracks. Honestly, I think I'd put it above Battle with the Four Fiends. It would just happen to be at the bottom. And it's one of those things where you're making a list and you're popping things in between where you think they go, and then stuff falls through the cracks. But honestly, this version doesn't really reach out and grab me like some of the other tracks on the album. I kind of like the original more, and it's not a bad track. It's just, I don't know, it's just not super memorable. I honestly, I think I should have probably put it at number 11, though. But it's still nowhere near as high as it is on yours, for sure. What do you like about this one?
I think it's just a really good, adventurous theme. It's got a little bit of a romantic edge to it, and I'm kind of a sucker for that. I think it's one of the better pieces from FF5 as far as like what's memorable, and I disagree with you. I think this rendition is better than the original. I think it's a very good rendition. And one of my favorite things that I wrote down here was that I love the prelude theme sneaking in at the end of the track. It, like, makes us have that little moment within this album because we always need that somewhere in the album. And I really liked Zephyr's Memory. I know it's just kind of like it's a good, like, I think it's the map theme for FF5 if I'm not mistaken, but it's like a big sweeping adventure piece, and I feel like other parts of this album, obviously we disagree on a specific track that I'm going to complain about this on. Other parts of this album, they'll have like the big adventure piece that was in the game, and then they'll soften it, and I feel like they didn't soften it for this one. It, like, still has the power in it. Because like a lot of times, like Distant Worlds does the really soft songs really well, and then the really brassy big songs, if they don't lighten it up, I think they do those really well. But it's the middle section that Nobuo is really good at, but that the orchestration sometimes doesn't quite get right, I think. And this actually, I think it does that. I think it did it quite well. So I guess we disagree on that one, but I like Zephyr's Memory.
Yeah. There you go. All right.
All right, what's your next one?
All right, so above... No, I think
Festival
it's your next one that we need to do, right?
No, it's yours.
Oh, okay. After that one,
I've been writing these down.
I have Apocalypsis Noctis as number 6 on mine.
Wrong.
And then Phantom Forest.
All right. And then Phantom Forest. All right, let me see which one we got to do. Oh, shit. We got two that are tied here because we put them at opposing ends. Schweiss.
Well, how about you move Zephyr Memories to...
It's not Zephyr's Memory. It's Dragon Song. I put Dragon Song in the same place... or that you put Phantom Forest, and you put Dragon Song in the same place I put Phantom Forest.
I guess
it's a literal tie.
I guess they're just right in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's do Phantom Forest. Actually, Dragon Song, yeah. Phantom Forest is next because, alphabetical order. How about that? So, Phantom Forest, which is a piece that I really dig. And I put it lower on my list than you did, but we both like this one.
Yeah.
Spooky. It's got that James Bond scale again, by the way. It starts with that, so I was thinking of that. Really cool track. It's got like this mysterious edge with like a tinge of sadness, and I really like this orchestration, so very good. It doesn't go in like any crazy big places that I like my soundtracks to go in. They just kind of play the piece and they end it, but I really like it.
Yeah, this one for me was a huge trip down memory lane. I really like the fully orchestrated take that Distant Worlds brought to this particular track, and this is kind of what these CDs are made for. It's kind of bringing these old tracks to life with the full orchestra, and I feel like they miss the mark on a lot of these tracks where, yeah, it's an amazing track, but it sounds just like it does in Final Fantasy 15. So, no, it's not a top 5 track or top 3 track on the album because it's the same fucking song. This is what I like about Distant Worlds, and it doesn't always work. We have ones on the earlier albums like the opera theme where it doesn't work out, but when it does work out, it's really enjoyable, and that's why I put Phantom Forest as my number 5. It's because I this is what these CDs are kind of for in my eyes, in my ears, is bringing these old tracks to life.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. Dragon Song.
Yeah. What a great song, honestly. I mean, I know I put it at number 9, and this is kind of like the third best vocal track in the entire series, behind Distant Worlds and Answers. And I like the liveliness that the orchestra kind of tries to bring, but again, it's just like it is in 14. There's nothing different here. I don't think they should have songs on their albums that are the exact same in the games that they come from. That doesn't really feel like a genuine orchestra experience. You don't go see an orchestra of, for a certain game or a certain thing and have it the exact same, unless, of course, it was orchestrated in the first place. And then, yeah, like if you go see the Star Wars orchestra for Revenge of the Sith or whatever I think it's Empire Strikes Back. They're doing that here in Utah. Yeah, it's going to sound the same because it's fucking an orchestra beforehand. But Dragon Song, I don't know. I feel like it's a great track and it is a good fucking song, but it doesn't really bring anything new. It's just the exact same song. That's why I have it low.
Yeah, I don't know. Distant Worlds, the original one, is... I think that the orchestrated one is better. And Answers, I think, is actually... The original one is better. But this one... I think this one is probably better than the original version from what I remember, but I've only listened to Dragon Song like twice before.
Yeah.
Look, the piano stuff is really good at the beginning. Susan Calloway's voice is also excellent, and in this version, it's excellent as well. The lyrics are still kind of shaky.
Yeah.
For this one. But, you're kind of overcome by, like, all the cool atmosphere of the whole song and the whole piece as it is. My problem with this piece, in comparison to Answers and with Distant Worlds, is that this one kind of goes everywhere. Like, it feels like this is actually 4 different ideas for a song. And there's not really a structure to it, and I can never, like, warm up to it. It just kind of keeps going and keeps changing, which is cool in its own way. But for me, I'd rather listen to Answers or Distant Worlds as a song.
Yeah.
It's epic and beautiful in its parts. And it's, I think it falls short of the other 2 really good songs in the Final Fantasy series.
It's certainly better than the Stormblood track, but...
Yeah, it's a good attempt. See, now I've listened to the Stormblood one, I think, one time.
Yeah,
so
I didn't
listen
like it.
to that one again.
I didn't like it when I listened to it, so I was like, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. I like Dragon Song, but yeah, as far as in comparison to the other songs, not good. For this album, though, I kind of disagree with you. For this album, I think this album needs its big vocal track, and obviously this is what it has to pull from. There's some... I was surprised, actually, because they played it live at the New Jersey thing, but they didn't do the Faye Wong song, Eyes on Me. I'm surprised that they didn't do that one on this album, because I think this album is more... It's a lot closer to when we did KupoCon last.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they went with Dragon Song, but I'm surprised they didn't do both. I'm surprised they didn't do like a middle piece and then end it with Dragon Song or something like that. But I think the album needs Dragon Song, but most of my I think it's also very beautiful, but most of my negative critiques are actually in comparison, which might be unfair to the piece. Instead of comparing it to the other Susan Calloway, Nobuo Uematsu joints. But yeah, it's good. I think it's good. All right. So my next one is The Oath.
Okay.
It's above Phantom Forest.
That is not my next one. Main theme of Final Fantasy V is above Phantom Forest for me.
Okay. Talk about that.
So this one is kind of how you felt about our last FF5, the Zephyr one. This is just like an adventure waiting to happen. I really liked the main theme from FF5, and Distant Worlds puts just enough oomph on the track to kind of propel it to within my top 5. I think it's bigger, better, more fun, and more motivating than it ever was in the original game. And this is one of those moments where I feel like Distant Worlds really picks up a song that's kind of like, oh yeah, it's a fun little main theme, and it really makes it something great. And this is why I like these albums. It's for these little tracks, or even like the main theme of a game, just brought to life in, you know, the current decade, I suppose. So I liked this one. I thought it was pretty good.
There's not much to say about this one for me. I did put it lower. Honestly, the reason I rated it lower was because in the album, main theme of FF5 plays, and I wrote down like really good old adventure feel, kind of the same note as I had for Zephyr's Memory. Good rendition too. Still think that's a really good rendition. And it probably is an underrated main theme of the series, but I'm still not going to like put it like above like FF7 or FF6's like Terra theme or anything like that. But it's a really good main theme and kind of an underappreciated game. But then Zephyr's Memory plays in the track after it. You get 2 FF5 tracks in a row, and I'm like, no, this is preferred. I feel like the album snapped into awesome mode. It was almost as if it was one piece of music, frankly.
Yeah.
But I like the Zephyr Memories half better, I guess. But yeah, FF5's main theme is great, and this is a great rendition of it. It's definitely one of the tracks that are improved, I think, than the MIDI version.
Yeah, for sure.
The original. All right, what's next, Wise?
So next for me is The Oath at number 3.
The Oath. The Oath is now on the board. The Oath. All right. So I'll start with this one. The Oath. Okay, The Oath started playing, and I definitely recognized the piece of music. And thinking that it was an FF9 track. What a beautiful theme. And then I was like, what the is this from 9? And I started questioning it, and I had to look it up, and no, it is in fact an FF8 piece that I had forgotten plays occasionally in that thing. When like things are really bad in FF8 and like an aftermath of a situation, this is the piece of music that plays. Totally forgot that. So yeah, I was surprised it was from FF8. In fact, the fact that I liked it so much, I just like had pasted it in my head onto FF9. So yeah, I recognize the tune, and I listened to the original FF8 one, and it's good. The orchestration is not nearly as good, and one of my problems with FF8 is like the tones that Nobuo Uematsu like chose, like the keyboard sounds or the MIDI sounds. I don't know how the technology works. As far as like what he's orchestrating on, or if he's doing his faux orchestration on, but I do prefer this version way over the original. And the original is like, it's a good piece of music, but this version really brought out, I think, kind of the sweeping romantic sound, and it gets really big at the end in this version, and it kind of gets swept away. And it's a great piece of music in the Distant Worlds version, and better than the original. And the original's good. It's good. But this really brought it out. So I appreciate it. I think The Oath is one of the best pieces on the album for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is one of the sleeper hits on the FF8 soundtrack. Because I was like, man, this is really familiar, but I don't really know which game this comes from until, of course, near the end, and then it's like, oh, okay, this is 8. I like this one's position on the album. I like that they added it to the album. It's sort of cracking into the midpoint. I feel like this has a really solid build, and I liked the tonal change near the middle. And, of course, that ending was really cool. I think this is a great fit for Distant Worlds, and this is a song that they did very well, and kind of making it their own. And it almost made it feel like 9, because 9 had more of a Distant Worlds-esque soundtrack. So I thought this was a really good track on here. I was actually kind of surprised by this one.
Yeah. I guess we both were. Okay, we're in the top 2 for each other.
Yeah.
And we still have 1, 2, 3, 4 songs. So we are opposing on at least 2 of these.
I can't believe you put those 2 at the top. Like, oh my god.
Oh, you bet your fucking ass I put them at the top. All right, what's your second to last?
Cosmo Canyon is my number 2.
Cosmo Canyon is my middle.
So I wasn't big on this track in the beginning because I was like, wow, this is weird. It's like a chilled out version of Cosmo Canyon, because Cosmo Canyon is like balls to the wall in your face the second that fucker kicks off in the original game, and it's just a big song. I remember being like, dude, the song is like freaking out, and I'm like in this really somber moment in this game where they're talking about like the end of the world, and it's just yeah, and it's like fucking nuts, and I love it. I really love that track, and I don't think this one's nearly as epic and in your face as the OG one is at first, but I really like the build, because this thing builds and it becomes as in your face and massive as the original track does, and kind of its like climax moment. And I thought I kind of like that version more. I know it takes a lot longer to get into, and I still really love the original Cosmo Canyon, but I think this kind of takes it to a new level, to a new like appreciation for the tune, because it starts out real quiet and then it just builds and builds and builds, and then it just explodes. And I thought it was fucking great. I really like this, man.
I thought it was good. This is one of Nobuo's finest pieces of music, so it's kind of tough. It felt like Nobuo like wrote that piece of music and was like Cosmo Canyon, because it was just like this awesome like crazy piece, and it does not really fit the setting that it's in.
No,
I guess
fuck
it kind
no.
of does. I guess it kind of does. It has like that, like Red 13 is like this old thing, so we got like this old sound. This old,
yeah,
like,
it's like a kind of like
really
old
Asian
tribal
thing
Yeah.
going on. Asian tribal fusion. It's a new type of food.
Yeah,
that I'm really wanting to try.
yeah. It's really just it's fucking what is it? It's paleo with more steps.
There you go. Yeah, very East Asian. I do like the flute playing, but I miss the old track. All this listening to this version made me miss the other one, because the other one sounds so much more huge, and yeah, the actual volume on the game is ridiculous in that part.
Yeah,
But the original one like just went. It's just started strong and it keeps going strong. This one definitely builds. Obviously they were like, let's make it more dynamic, but for me, like, part of Cosmo Canyon is the hugeness of Cosmo Canyon, so I can't say that I like it more than the original. This is a good version of a very good piece of music.
yeah. It's not screaming at you like the OG one is, though.
Yeah, I dig the dynamics of the orchestration, but like, man, I like the original one screaming at me, and I miss that. So that's why it's a lot lower on my list. But it's pretty high on our official ranking. So
Oh yeah,
there you go. It's good, but for me, I don't think it's an improvement.
All right, what do you have as number 2?
Number 2, I have Apocalypsis Noctis.
Okay.
What have we missed here? We've missed something. Hold on. Oh, no.
We haven't.
Yeah, Apocalyptic Noctis is the next one on the list.
So I think this
why is it not in your top 2, Schweiss?
I think this is one of the best tracks on 15's soundtrack. I love the speed, the fucking metal orchestra in the background, all of it. This song is a really good song. But the only reason why I didn't score it higher is because it's the same fucking version that's in the regular game. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's kind of a cop-out. I feel like the whole point of orchestrating music is to make it a bigger version of what was there before, and this song sounds exactly the same. Now, albeit,
to be fair,
it's probably,
they were probably using a lot of synthesized strings in the original one. I'm sure if we listened to it side by side, there would be differences.
I think this is probably one of my favorite tracks on here, but I don't rank it as one of the best just because it's just not different enough. It just seems like a quick, like, I don't know, like a quick fix for a big-ass song somewhere in there. Like, oh, let's just take that big-ass song and keep it a big-ass song. But yeah, this song is fucking amazing. This is like cream of the crop Final Fantasy 15 right here. It just didn't really, I don't know, it didn't really change it up enough. I feel like one of the cool things that Arnie Roth does is sort of take these classic tracks and sort of make them his own, and I don't think they did that with this one at all. I think they just said, hey, 15's new, everybody loves 15, let's put 15, yeah, let's put that bitchin' song from 15 in there. And it's bitchin'. It fucking screams. This is a great fucking song, but I don't know, as far as ranking them, I just don't think it changes really, and it might be bigger than the original one. I haven't listened to it for a while now, but it's, I don't know, to me it's kind of upper middle. I put it at number 6, so.
All right. Well, all right. I put it as number 2. And you know what I put as number 1.
Oh, I know.
This is an incredibly epic track. And it's beautiful. And it's complex. Like, there's so much stuff going on, but you never lose, like, the central melody within it. I think her name is Yoko Shimomura? God, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Yoko Shimomura. I listened to her stuff. After I was done with this album, I was so jazzed. I, listened to a bunch of her stuff. And I, re-listened to some Kingdom Hearts stuff. And then I listened to some other, things that popped up when I put up her name. She's amazing. And this is an amazing piece of music. So much so that her tracks, for me, outrank every Nobuo Uematsu track on this album. I know Nobuo Uematsu, we're going to laud him for being, this amazing composer, and he is. He's an amazing composer, but Shimomura is just as good of a composer as he is. She did the fucking soundtrack to Street Fighter 2, the Super Mario RPG, and all the Kingdom Hearts games have amazing soundtracks. And Final Fantasy 15. She really kicks ass, dude. I'm kind of sad I never, did a deep dive on her before, even though I've, praised FF15 soundtrack for a long time. Today was the first day where I actually looked at her stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing piece of music. Apocalypsis Noctis. And I believe our... let me see how this ranks up. So you're number 1. Okay, so the next piece of music is going to be Somnus and Instrumental.
Yeah.
As well. Which I ranked as number 1.
Yeah.
And you ranked in the middle.
I ranked it as number 8.
Cosmo Canyon-esque switch, although this one's higher up.
So I do think this is a beautiful track from 15. and I like the way this track builds, and I think it is a pretty good transition to the final couple tracks. I have nothing but positives to say about this one. I just don't like it as much as I did the other ones. I guess it's a more instrumental version of the original track, but it doesn't
It's
really
simple. It's a lot more stripped down.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't think that the composer, I don't think she's nearly as good as Uematsu. I don't think 15 stacks up to half of the games that he's done in the series as far as the soundtrack goes. I think the best songs, you could argue, are probably, better than most of the best songs from the other soundtracks, but I think 15 has a lot of dead air tracks that are FF12 in nature, with their just kicking it in the background and not really anything fancy. It does have really, really high highs, but then it just has really average everything else. Not that I think she's a bad composer, because, these two songs prove that she knows how to make good music. But this one, for me, I don't know. I didn't like it as much as the rest of the album. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I just kind of preferred some of the other stuff more. It is another one of those underrated 15 tracks, though. Like, I hate it when people say that 15 doesn't have at least a good soundtrack, because there are these amazing pieces that are in there. Much like the side quests in 15, there are a few great, amazing side quests. You just have to muddle through a bunch of bullshit to get to it. And this is not one of those bullshit songs. So I liked this one. I just kind of put it somewhere near the middle because I didn't like it as much, I guess.
Wow. Twice. We're at totally opposite ends. I almost like her highs. It's going to be tough because of the kind of classicness of like the Terra theme or To Xanarkand. And Nobuo has these stripped down melody things, but she does these beautiful melodies that are also like supported by these incredibly complex instrumentations with it. And like the FF12 and the FF13 soundtrack, I know they're not by the same person, but they have similarities in the way that they're like, yeah, they're really complex, but rarely are you like pulled by the melody of the pieces in those games.
Right.
And actually, I think FF15, it only has like a few main melodies. She mostly does variations on a theme in FF15. It's a little different than what Nobuo does. He comes up with like a lot of distinct pieces. But her melodies, I think, are just as powerful as his. And they're two kind of different composers in the way that they approach how they support their melodies, I think. I'm not like a music guy, so like my ability to be able to talk about this is pretty limited. But I think she's fantastic. And I think that Somnus instrumental like really just underlines just like the beautiful kind of sadness of the FF15 story that's going on. It's got like an epicness to it, and there's so much depth. And in this one, I think it's just piano and like violin is like mostly what it is in this version. And I think it's just I just downright think it's gorgeous. A gorgeous piece of music. And done very well in the Distant Worlds thing. So,
yeah. It's good.
I
it's
disagree.
good. I mean,
I think it's straight up great. But all right. I see that your number one is Torn from the Heavens.
Yeah. I thought this thing was fucking awesome, fully orchestrated.
Which isn't even a Nobuo one. That's a Soken, right?
Yeah, it's Soken. Yeah, it's totally FF14 one. It is one of the more memorable tracks from 14, because this is like the big, the baddie's here, let's go fuck them up, and then this shit kicks in, and then you spend 50 minutes doing the final boss fight in the game, and you're tired of the song. But I think the orchestra is on, and I think this provides an excellent climax to the album. I was surprised how much I ended up enjoying Torn from the Heavens. by the end of this. I like Soken. I like some of his bigger pieces, and I think they take this one in a really huge direction. God damn it! And I fucking loved it, man. I thought this was a great track. Where did you put this one?
I put it as number 3.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
I put it pretty high. Yeah, I was surprised as well that I was putting a Soken piece so high up. In fact, Nobuo, for both my list and for the list overall, yeah, he doesn't even get a track till 4th place. I guess we went through his greatest hits through the other 3 albums, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, Torn from the Heavens, FF14's battle theme. FF14's battle theme. Very exciting. One of the best battle themes in the series. And I could just be brainwashed because I've played so many hours of 14. But it's a really tense piece of music. And it takes all the other... like soundscapes, I guess, from FF14, puts it into a battle version, and it does a really good job. It's just a really good, awesome battle theme. Yeah, I mean, if FF14 didn't have a good battle theme, we wouldn't be playing FF14. There you go.
Yeah.
Which the expansion has now come out by the time this episode's released, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it came out by the time the last one was released, too, so...
Oh, yeah, technically, yeah. We were just talking about Kubokan, huh?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Surprising, though. I mean, I was surprised that we had as many differences as we did this time.
Yeah.
I think the first time we did it, it was... The first few, we were really close when it came to our rankings of these songs.
This does feel... You know what? It's odd because with the last Distant Worlds album, I think you and I talked about how there's so many things that they can pull from still, and I'm really surprised at the choices that they have here. Like, I feel like there's still like way bigger themes that they can explore in Final Fantasy games. I feel like 9 has not been touched enough. I feel like the correct tracks for 12 and 13 have not been touched. I'm glad they got the 15 representation here. I feel like some of the big tracks from FF3 or FF2 are kind of being blown over with these things. So
yeah,
I'm very kind of surprised that these are the very interesting mix of FF songs. None of them are bad, unlike the other albums. I think there were lows on the other albums. But the highs are not as high for me on this Distant Worlds. As much as I do love some of these tracks, none of them are like the big classic songs yet. I think FF15 soundtrack is going to prove to be one of the best in time. But
get the fuck out of here, dude! That Somnus doesn't even come close to Xanarkin. Fucking come on.
I think they are very close in quality. I think it's a beautiful piece of music.
Jesus.
But yeah,
there's some like, but god damn it.
Have we had a Bartandalus fight in the Distant Worlds? I don't think we did.
No,
I think we had like FF13's like piano music theme.
Yeah, and that's like one of the fucking coolest songs in the whole series. Like, that's really fucking good.
Yeah, sometimes they're just like, their choices are just odd. There's some battle themes in FF12 I remember being pretty cool. Obviously, I don't remember them that well, but also like some of the. Yeah, I don't know. There's just so many things for them to pull from. It's funny that we're getting things like Phantom Forest, which is a great. Like, these are all good pieces, by the way. Phantom Forest, Dalmasca Easter Sand. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing here?
There's better stuff out there.
There's better stuff out there. But, yeah, the top tracks, Torn from the Heavens, Somnus, Apocalypsis, Noctis, Cosmo Canyon, The Oath, Those are all great. But none of them are a Liberali Fatali or anything like that. So
yeah, or that like Prague like Avenged Sevenfold one on like the second one. I think it was like, holy shit, this is like an 8-minute.
It was
fucking
Dancing Mad.
Yeah, that was goddamn. That was amazing. Like fucking A. Yeah, nothing like that. But I kind of agree. I think this is a pretty good album. That's what makes it tough to sort of rank this one. There's not really a stinker on here. There are some that they're okay, but I think honestly I think it's a pretty solid album overall. I enjoyed listening to it. I never really felt like, oh man, this one's kind of a lame version, or oh wow, this is, I hate this song. There are a few songs that I don't really care for as much, as you can see, but overall I liked the pieces. But I agree, we're still missing some of those epic pieces that I think Distant Worlds could really kill, like the final boss theme in 13. I would love to hear their version of that shit. It's so huge, and like it's already orchestrated, sure, but like they could just do it and make it bigger.
13-2 has some great tracks too, made by Yoko Shimomura.
yeah, there you
go. All right. So, yeah, there's some soak and stuff that hasn't really been explored too. Damn it, guys! Just keep doing Distant Worlds. We'll hit them all. I'm just surprised we didn't have like our big showstopper one in this one. I don't think so, because my two favorite tracks were just like re-instrumentations of tracks that were already like kind of great. But we didn't get like that MIDI one that like would be changed into something like amazing. If I remember correctly, there's like when you go into Pandemonium in Final Fantasy II, I just remember the music at that area just being like fantastic and huge and crazy. And maybe we had it already, but I feel like Distant Worlds can do something with that and stuff like that. So I think these are the only albums by Distant Worlds. I could be wrong. Maybe there's a fifth one, but I don't think there is. This one kind of came under the radar. This one wasn't as big as the other ones in terms of like, I don't know how I saw it, because I remember Distant Worlds 3 like kind of being floated around, but Distant Worlds 4 I think has been kind of, I don't know, sidelined. Did you? I mean, obviously you heard about it from me, so I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like the track, the thing was not. It didn't come out like it wasn't as big of a deal.
Yeah,
like, there's hardly anything on the actual like. There's nothing on the Final Fantasy wiki for it. There's like hardly anything on here.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where over time it's just not as big. And it's still big.
The concerts we're all still going to the concerts, but
yeah, that's big. But I don't think the releases are quite as large for them. So I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because you kind of got your favorites, and now it's just kind of whatever they can drum up. But I feel like that's kind of where we're at with them. And this is not a bad one, so it's kind of surprising.
Yeah. So Schweiss, this is the official ranking of the pieces. Starting from the bottom: Dalmasca, Easter Send, Genova Complete, Battle of the Four Fiends, Final Fantasy, Fang's Theme, Festival of the Hunt, Zephyr's Memory, Phantom Forest / Dragon Song. They were tied. Main theme of Final Fantasy V, The Oath. We're in our top 5 now. The Oath, Cosmo Canyon, Apocalypsis Noctis, Somnus Instrumental, and Torn from the Heavens is number 1. Good job, Soken. Good job. You dethroned Nobuo in this ranking. All right, Schweiss. Well, there is actually a 5th Distant Worlds. I just looked it up. Look at that.
Oh, really? I thought it was just the 4.
Yeah, it's coming soon. It's not out yet.
Oh, okay. That works.
Yeah. All right, man. We will listen to that when that comes out. But before we do, we got to rank these 4 albums. I believe we had the same ranking. I believe we all put 3, 1, and then 2. Am I crazy?
I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
I should have written it
think it
down,
is.
but I totally didn't.
I think 2 was... I think it had some lower lows, even though it had like an amazing, big, huge piece. 3 was just overall more solid. I think that's how it was. I remember that's how I ranked mine. Was 3, 1, 2.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep 2 at the bottom. And I'm going to put 3, 1, 4, and then 2. That's my official ranking for Distant Worlds.
Oh, okay. I am going to do 3, 4, 1, and 2.
Wow, you put 4 before number 1. All right.
Yeah. I kind of like the direction they took with enough of the tracks, and haven't listened to the first one for a while, and maybe I would change my mind if I had, but from what I remember, it is a pretty good album, but I like this one just a little bit more for some of the directions that they ended up taking. So that's...
I think the Nobuo... Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
All right, I think the Nobuo pieces that they chose are odd to me. And they're good pieces of music, but I feel like we could have... I don't know, we could have had some bigger Nobuo stuff on here. So I'm kind of missing that. I feel like this album, to me, it was like I overall listened to it and I was like, wow, that was good. But the other albums have like showstoppers, and this one had no showstoppers in comparison. So
yeah, the closest thing we got.
I do think it's a more solid album than I think 3 of them. But I think the FF1. I'm sorry, not FF1. The Distant Worlds 1 has like such cool big, like the opener track is just amazing in the first one. That the high highs on the first album are, to me, just like barely nudge out this one to third place. But they're all good, and they're all totally worth listening to as albums.
I agree.
And
I think they're all good.
Fans.
They're all worth your time.
All right, Schweiss, we've been talking for 2 hours. Do you want to get your iTunes review out of the way?
We have a few of them, actually, that we should go through.
We have a few? I thought we only had 1.
No, I've got 3 from the U.S. and at least 1 from the U.K.
Oh, wow.
I'll dive into the U.S. ones first. So this one's a 5-star review from Cody Snod, titled Incredible. How have I been missing out on this podcast until recently? These guys are an absolute blast to listen to and make my work days fly by. At first I started with the review episodes, but I am now cranking out each and every episode and cannot get enough of them. You guys have inspired me to complete every game in the series, and I can't thank you enough.
Wow. Thank you, Cody Snod.
Yeah, man. Sorry to, make you feel like you got to do every game, but there's a lot of great ones, so hopefully you'll enjoy yourself.
All right. J Monty 8889 gave us a 4-star review.
Couldn't handle that last 8.
Yeah. While I'm a fan, he says, while I love listening to your reviews of the Final Fantasy games, although I prefer 8 as my favorite, I can't say I'm a fan of Caleb Craig. He's annoying. But the hosts of the show keep me entertained, which is good. Thank you, JMonty8889. I feel like JMonty has not listened to every episode. I feel like JMonty has just listened to like the main series review episodes and probably just like left us. That's what that sounds like. Because Caleb Craig, to even mention Caleb Craig on a review,
yeah,
and to like make that like your crux makes me think that like he listened to just those earlier reviews, which Caleb Craig showed up on.
Right, we had him on a bunch of those early ones. I mean, at least he did listen to more than one episode, which is more than I could probably say for The next review, Disco Cub, 1 star, titled Offensive and Rude. I know that a review won't change their minds, but these guys have a lot of growing up to do when it comes to not using offensive language. I don't care about using curse words, but derogatory language about people different from yourself is unacceptable. Vaguely racist, transphobic, and homophobic language has no place in 2019. Okay.
I find this review offensive and rude because he's saying derogatory things to people different than himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the way that he's reviewing our show.
I don't either. I feel like I've never once said a single transphobic thing on this podcast also. I mean, I guess...
Yeah.
I mean, homophobic...
I listened to the last episode trying to look for it, and I couldn't find it.
I think the only thing that was said is I said, wow, New York sure is a lot gayer than it used to be than last time.
Which is funny.
That's a joke. I'm not afraid or hateful, but there were a lot more gay people there this time than there was before. That's just a fact. I'm not being hateful or spiteful for saying it. There wasn't a fucking block-long gay pride flag running down the street that I could see from above in the Empire State Building last time. There just simply wasn't. I don't give a fuck that there was. It's fine. It's great. I mean, plenty of straight people waste their time at parades. I don't see why it should be any different for them. Like, I guess that's homophobic. I also love the idea that it has no place in 2019. I don't think it has a place ever if it's being serious. 2019 or before, I mean, if something is wrong, I don't think it becomes wrong because more people say it's wrong. I think that's a really black and white way to look at reality, and that's not really, it doesn't really support anything. It supports the idea that it might be wrong today but right tomorrow, which it's not. It's if you're actually being hateful towards somebody because of something like that, then it's wrong. It was wrong. It is wrong, and it will always be wrong. Regardless of what's causing them to be, or regardless of whether or not they learned to be that way or were born to be that way, who fucking cares? Like, honestly, my policy on any of this shit is if you don't plan on fucking the person, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. I don't plan on having sex with Joe, so I don't care what Joe's sexual orientation or what bits he has under his fucking pants are, because I don't plan on it. That's the only time you should be concerned with that. And, like, I don't know. I don't get the... Like, we can fuck around and we can joke about it, and I don't think it's hateful or it shouldn't come off that way. And I honestly don't know what this guy listened to give us this review. I don't think it's conducive of what we've been doing for the last 5 years. I think it's quite the shitty way to sum up our years of work for this podcast, and I think he might have listened to one review, heard one thing, and drawn a simple assumption that we must be the biggest assholes on the face of the earth because of one thing that we said.
We are pretty big assholes.
We are.
To be fair.
But we're not, I mean, we might be vaguely racist and homophobic at times, but we're not really racist or homophobic.
My favorite thing is, though, you can read his last sentence of his review, two ways. One is a list where he calls us vaguely racist, but definitely transphobic and homophobic. Or vaguely racist, vaguely transphobic, and vaguely homophobic language has no place in 2019.
Yeah, how vague are we talking here?
We're not allowed to be vaguely anything? Should we be purely?
Yeah.
But like,
that's a good point.
I think we described someone as black in the hotel room, so maybe that was vaguely racist to describe the hot Tifa as black. My God, how dare we?
I know. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. She's still hot. Or no, it wasn't the Tifa that was black. It was 15 gal, whose name I'll never remember. The character.
Oh, the Aranea?
Aranea, yeah. Yeah. The person who was cosplaying as her was black. We had a few Araneas. The one we were talking about was the black one. And she's very attractive. But yeah, apparently that's vaguely racist.
Yeah.
It's not fully racist, just vaguely racist. Transphobic, which, what? When did we... What?
I mean, I could understand if it was Nude Clan.
Yeah, I do. I think I talked about my uncle once on either Nude Clan, maybe on this show. I probably made some jokes, but transphobic, I don't know, man. Homophobic language, okay, sure. Homophobic language, possibly.
Yeah, yeah.
But, no, I love the gays.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's where we're at. So, thank you for your very narrow-minded one-star review.
Yeah, and you're right. It won't change.
You're going to give us a one-star review for being vaguely anything.
Yeah.
Not concretely.
I would like you to both vaguely and concretely go fuck yourself. And you're right. It's not going to change what we are or what we say because it's not fucking true. So you can go off about what you think we've done and judge it based on that solely all you want, but I don't know, it just makes you look like a fucking asshole. And I know an asshole when I see one. I really do. Cuz I am.
I bet you do, big boy.
I see it every time I wake up and look in the mirror. Fuck, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, hungover from the barcade.
Yeah, where I talked to a fucking gay guy for about an hour. So fuck you. Fuck you, man. I wonder
You're
if
not
it's
homophobic because you talked to a gay guy for an hour.
Exactly.
That's what they're going to say next.
Exactly. That'll be the
sarcastically.
Yeah. We have one from the UK here as well. I don't know if you have that one.
I don't think we do have one from the UK. I think we read that one before.
Oh, no, it's Canada. Sorry.
Oh, fucking God. All right. Let's check out Canada.
It's a beast.
Well, you sure we haven't read that one?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. It's like 2 pages long.
Oh,
you want to do the
I
first?
think we might have read this one twice. At least I have. Maybe it's just me who's read it. Sure, I can read. Brandon, you're going to save us here from our hateful 1-star review that we got. Brandon, the random gamer, 5 stars. The best way to enjoy the grind. I'll read 3 of these paragraphs.
Okay.
You can go. Have been a fellow listener ever since early 2016, and only now as it approaches the end of its weekly broadcasting do I finally decide to leave a proper review. I apologize for doing this so late. Procrastination is one of my greatest sins. I initially found the show during my many tedious and dull grinding sessions while playing video games. I'm a huge completionist, trophy hunter when it comes to Nintendo and Sony products. And when I get to that point where I'm hearing the same music or sound effects for more than an hour, let's just say I need something a little extra in order to proceed with the grinding. Final Fantasy games being one of my favorite series in game, along with being the biggest offenders of wasting time to grind to completion. That's true. I thought I should see if there were any decent podcasts regarding the series as a whole. I'm glad to say a simple search on YouTube. Yes, YouTube.
Oh, wow.
We got to fix our YouTube page. Brought me to this point of leaving a more than positive review today. Starting off, I'm really glad Joe left that disclaimer at the beginning of episode 1 regarding the audio issues. Without it, I might have passed on future episodes despite liking the discussion for the original game. Once I heard the immediate audio improvements in episode 2, along with the horny Gus jokes, I knew this was going to be the podcast for me. I swear to God we've read this one, but we'll read it anyway because it's such a great review.
I don't remember reading it out loud. If I was to summarize Ultima Final Fantasy to newcomers, I'd say it's vaguely homophobic, transphobic, and racist. Oh, wait, no, sorry, wrong review. I'd say
vaguely
it's
racist.
I'd say it's the vaguely epic
He wasn't
journey.
sure if we were racist. He just thinks that maybe we were.
Am I
vaguely racist?
I feel like I might be offended right now. I'm not sure, but it might.
I feel like these guys are going to offend me. So I think they're vaguely racist, homophobic, and transphobic.
I feel like I could say that and people would be like, yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, vaguely.
He'd say it's the epic journey between two buddies of playing every single Final Fantasy game while talking some smack along the way. As time went on, their reviews and the discussions on the game have only gotten better and more entertaining. I always enjoyed how they justified their rankings with each new game that they played and always gave decent context as to why. While I wasn't a part of it, I also liked how the show encouraged outside discussions from fellow listeners and gave new perspectives and opinions outside of their own. Even the filler episodes between reviews I thought were really entertaining for the most part, ranging from spotlights behind the creators of the series, character matchups, theories from others to try and justify some poor writing, still love 8 though, and way more. With all this content that's been brought to the show, Joe and Caleb most certainly have shown their passion and sometimes despise of the series through this ultimate podcast. Above all, I find the show very funny, and it has brought me a lot of laughter even when they stray a little far from the path to the crystal. From reading Konzen's hypersexualized FF fanfic to Caleb Craig's tale of someone getting addicted to vanilla extract, it's always a good time at UFF. Joe's rants and frustrations could be something of a reality show in itself. I enjoyed the trio of hosts so much that I followed one of their other shows called Nude Clan to hear more of their ramblings and discussions about other games. I found myself actually trying to find moments in games that I could grind just so I could catch up to their massive backlog. Can't listen at work, sadly. I guess the only warning I'd give to new listeners is in regard to the game spoilers. Even outside of the specific episodes that they review each individual game in, they occasionally say story-related spoilers without warning in later episodes to enhance their discussion. Personally, this actually affected me in regards to Final Fantasy VII. I initially skipped their review on the game in order to avoid story-related spoilers since it was around the time I first played the game. Unfortunately, in a later episode, unrelated to 7 itself, I was spoiled on a massive emotional moment where one of the main party members is brutally killed by the game's main antagonist. Truthfully, I was disappointed by this, but they've given justification to why they give spoilers like this in numerous episodes. So I don't want to say you need to play every FF game in order to enjoy this podcast and the story-specific moments in the games, but I'd recommend that you at least play the majority of the main titles. Don't worry about 1 through 3, before you dive into the much later episodes where spoilers are much more commonly mentioned. Like I said before, these spoilers make for better discussions, and it's nice not to hear a spoiler alert every time they needed to do so.
Alright, I'll do the next one. Truthfully, I hadn't caught up with the show until much recently due to my busier life. Still, I'll always be encouraged. It'll always be encouraging to check out a massive backlog of episodes whenever I inevitably need to grind another game in my collection. Just to give some recent FF examples, you guys helped me get through this boring slog that is the Final Fantasy 15 Comrades Trophy list.
God.
Treasure grinding in Dissidia NT. Good luck with the plat on that one, Schweiss. Yeah, I don't think he's going to do it. And AP grinding in the Pocket Edition of 15. Nice to finally hear them talk about the Dissidia series and soon World of Final Fantasy, as I feel they are very good anniversary games that celebrate the legacy of FF as a whole. Very fitting games to end their long weekly podcast. I look forward to future episodes and when they'll eventually talk about the Kingdom Hearts series and hopefully do some DLC in games like 15. On a personal note, I'd really like to thank Joe and Caleb for UFF. During the first 2 years that I started listening to the show, I was suffering from major depression due to a breakup and one of my best friends passing away. UFF, along with many other great people in my life, made it easier for me to continue the daily grind. So once again, thank you, Joe, Caleb Craig, and everyone else that has contributed to UFF throughout the years, making it one of the best video game-related podcasts ever. You guys are definitely more than the dress and the voice.
Oh, my God.
P.S. P.S. I was completely joking about getting spoiled about Tara's death, by the way. LOL. I had already played most of the games prior to listening. BSS, love you, Craig, but FF10 is fantastic. I agree with all of the above.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brandon the Random Gamer. I believe you actually won Best Review of the Century?
Yeah.
I think so. Possibly.
Definitely the most epic review of the century, at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other long ones from Canada, but there's some other great ones.
Just a long-winded bunch up there.
Yeah.
Oh, is that nationalistic?
Got nothing to do during the winter.
Is that nationalistic of us?
Thank you so much for the reviews. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to the show. I think it's time we get out of here. So check out our website, ultimatefinalfantasy.com. Check out our other shows, Nude Clan, the Godzilla podcast, especially. The Game of Schweiss. For a few chickens more, Game of Schweiss and Johnson. Caleb Craig has a Dragon Quest podcast called The Puff Puff Hour. Super Sexy Swinging Fanfiction. I guess the feed still exists somehow. If you want to read along with us, guys, we are going to be reading Final Fantasy 13 2 fragments after.
Yes.
And gonna have a special release with that. So stay tuned for that. Tweet me at Joseph DeGolier.
Me at UFF Podcast. And guys, if you want to support the show, keep the lights on over here. It's patreon.com/Ultima Final Fantasy. We'll really appreciate it. And as always, share the show and get on us about things we haven't done in the reviews. And I think that's going to be it. Guys, until next time, enjoy the grind.
Ultima Final Fantasy is a podcast